Once upon a time, in a land far, far away. Nah, not like that. I'm only joking. But I am going to tell you a story. It's not your story. It's my story. A story like you've never seen before. But you want a proper story, huh? Then I must tell you something of my people and my land. Then you can see the story and know it. This land began in the beginning. Yulungur, that great water governor, he traveled here. Yulungur made all this land and he made this water and he made this swamp that stretches long and gives us life. I come from a water hole in this land Yulungur made. I was looking like a little fish in my water hole. Then my father come near my water hole. I asked him for my mother. I wanted to be born. My father pointed out one of his wives. "That's your mother," he told me. I waited until the right time, and I went just like that into her vagina. Then my father had a dream. That dream made him know she had a little one inside her. That little one was me. When I die, I will go back to my waterhole. I'll be waiting there like a little fish, waiting to be born again. You didn't know all that, did you? Huh? But it's the true thing. It's always like that for my people. Now we have to find where the story is. The story I'm going to tell you. We have to go back long time. Back to the time of my ancestors. Shh. Listen now. I can hear them. They're coming. My ancestors. This wise-looking one is Minglulu. Then his younger brother Daindi, and then the other ones. Too many names to remember. That one is Djigirr. Djigirr talked too much, but maybe he heard something. The ancestors are making canoes for goose egg hunting. They cut the barks off the trees, and they talk about women like always. They make fun at Daindi. They know Daindi is liking the young wife of his brother Mingululu. This is first time Daindi hunt the magpie geese. There is many things Daindi never seen before. And there is much for him to learn on this hunting.
Yo, wabar nyanya, wabar made, mare nyokong meyal, manden me, nana, benyakan.
Mingululu knows it's true about the wrong feeling of his young brother.
Tinyar kenak, kamoy, mailuri, yarabongoynik.
The men will carry the bark to the swamp. Mingululu will tell Daindi that story to help him live the proper way. It is Mingululu's story for Daindi back then, and it is my story for you now. It is a good story, but you better listen, eh? Maybe you like Daindi. Maybe this story will help you live proper way. And here is that story. It is long, long time ago. Daindi is still a little fish in his waterhole. All the ancestors, that Mingululu, Djigirr, and even the old sorcerer, all of them little fish in their waterholes. All their fathers and fathers before that, they still little fish in their waterholes, all over this land, waiting to be born. That's how long ago this time is that we are in now. The time that we see now is after the beginning. It is after the big flood came that covered the whole land. Look at that flood. You can nearly see it. We are so long ago now. It is after Yulungur, great water governor, named the trees and the birds and the plants and the people. It is after Yulungur gave the all ancestors big ceremony of the Jungwan, which give us the law we all learn. It is after the people learned to live to that law. After then, but a long, long time ago. And in that ancient time, there lived an ancient ancestor. This ancient ancestor was called Djigirr. Djigirr was a warrior, a proud one. He had wives and children just like we have now. And he followed the law, which is the same law as the law now. The stories of our people are very old. Sometimes they take a long time to tell, days even. Mingululu is telling Daindi some of the story while they carry the bags. Proper trees for canoes grow far away from the swamp. The storytelling must stop for a while. There is more work to do before the men hunt the geese. They must put the barks in the water to soak. One bark already soaked is put on the fire to make it hot and soft. The story of Djigirr can go on. The first wife Djigirr had was called Panalunju. Panalunju was wise and she was important. The bark is almost ready. They must cool it down to make it easier to bend. Daindi learns by watching. That is the way we do it with our people. But we better keep this story going. Number 2 wife of Djigirr was called Dalathngu. Dalathngu was a bit of a jealous one, but she had eyes that sometimes flew at other men.
Marian bangga cenbai mial web penyaman.
Nyar penakan Madana.
Ah, that number 3 wife, she was a young one. She was called Munanjar. Munanjar was beautiful one. She was quiet as a sleeping baby. Djigirr also had younger brother, just like Daindi was Mingululu's younger brother. Djigirr's brother was called Iralpril. Iralpril had no wives yet, and none promised. he thought he should have one, and the wife he thought he should have was Monanjar. It was not right to him that his brother had 3 wives, but he himself had none.
Bolok nyo na jagol payerek ka mial manin mi penjere khel kamja. Kanyon penjere khel kam ngair manin jagol pay.
Baba ngarjar mel karman na kur kenen ni nyeri.
Tiene ngibraren ngar pro gor kranya ki oral nenen ne.
The young man lived in Singleman's camp, away from the mine camp. They lived there to learn the law and man's ways. Gulpilil too lived in the Singleman's camp. Even though it was long walking to Djigirr's camp, Gulpilil's eyes could already see that young Monanjar. His mind would wander off to be with her. Sometimes his legs would make his body follow. He thought about how to really see Monanjar. Maybe he would just walk into the camp and pretend another reason. But maybe Bonalunju's eye would be too sharp. That day, near the camp, was haircut day. Gulpilil thought maybe he could see Monanjar from a distance. The one who said that joke is Birin, who lived in the same camp as Djigirr. Birin had 2 wives and a belly big as a mountain. He was always eating too much, but his favorite thing of all was honey. He would search for it, beg for it, sometimes even steal it. Ah, yes. I nearly forgot that sorcerer. The sorcerer was old and very powerful. He had good magic and bad magic. He lived by himself to keep his magic secret. Now watch carefully, because on this day I'm talking about, something happened. There was a stranger. Maybe that stranger had a right to visit this land. Maybe he had a sacred waterhole there. I don't know anymore. The story is too old. But that stranger had not signaled that he was coming. He had the smell of someone very dangerous.
kurka balang baningangan. Kurka mara balang gardong. Wa balang me jalan kurka gardong wa.
Are, belengar kerenye. Kurbangun belengar.
The stranger spoke language Djigirr could not understand very well.
Kira arwana jiban. Uyar kaban kurbulle. Wurp tumarge. Wurp kapmarge. Lalle arwana jiban.
Mana? Pelengan manjin gue yang re. Mereka cile laiken marge.
When they knew this stranger was part of magic, the bones of the man were shaking. They did not trust this stranger with the covered prick. He was not carrying anything to trade. Now you can see the canoes are nearly done. Only one bark is left to do. Now then they can learn what happened with his ancestors. Some of the ancients wanted to kill this stranger, but Djigirr didn't want to start a war. The stranger was given food to show respect. Soon he would be gone, but the bad feeling about him stayed behind. Far away, the sorcerer was listening in his mind. He heard the man talking about that stranger. The sorcerer came through the bush to the man. He made him listen to him. He warned him about the magic. It's not wise to leave shit just lying there. A sorcerer can do things with it. When the branches rub in the wind, it makes a sore throat.
Chile palma, puyo voy a dar en mi.
Junggoy mabacan makmunin.
Malma, como mucho con ya el campan, ya como mucho con crema, ya el cabala campan.
Bujur win bentul mul sih.
Chino le llene, un yugo le llama una barra de pan de pan. Yo, más el golpe me, más kaya por marwar un gole, grabar le llevan.
Ada bicara mencegah jam aku ini. Kita bicara banjir nge.
Yo.
Chino le lle, Mario le llevan le llaman me, yo le lle.
Then the sorcerer got himself ready. He looked all around the camp. He looked everywhere for any magic that stranger left behind. After a long time, he was finished.
No, may na chen gor lacho arpam gor be lacho arpam garai arpam.
The men are happy to go in the swamp. It's hard for Daindi. It's his first time to pull the canoe. Listen to the man honking like this. Daindi scared of crocodiles. At first, nothing bad happened to Djigirr and his people after the stranger left. Life for the ancient ancestors passed as it always did, as it had since the beginning. Djigirr's wives behaved like wives always do.
Yeah. Nah, mer na tuai.
Biren behaved like himself.
Lagi orang bayar, kalau punya orang ni kiban. Cara agar kali ni, beri ni cara orang.
Awak ada kacau kau kalau nak kan apa kacau kan orang rajal kacau.
Boleh je nak. Cara apa kalau kau? Kau pulang ke mana nyonya cara orang marke, orang bakal ke marke.
Mulai nak perlu ngoda jotan. Mun guru ni mereka dah ini ternak kondi tong na mereka jatuh kacau.
Ada ni kelak, nak kaya.
Djigirr went hunting.
Kaya pun.
Nak kurang mawanden. Yang tu madu kawangan ngetam.
And the women went to get food, chattering like magpies. The single men suddenly went bush. They seen Biren coming.
Koi, boleh jalan kaki, jangan berjam aja.
Ini melkale.
Boleh berlagi yang paling kreme.
Ayo.
Oh, jangan berjalan, jangan berjam aja.
Bicar beli ngarak kau jelek kado ale. Bil pokoknya mau kuring kau nyamere. Baik. Balanya pilih malah domba. Baik ini kenapa? Ngarak kau. Milnya orang mereka.
Nawalingo went with her friends to be away from Banalinju. And Biren was making spearheads, singing a happy honey song. Djigirr is trying to be tricky.
Wala. Suele mo le kamar ke wa kai bo. Hai le kana kamar ke yan. Tarko.
Oh, bukan kau kau tu berkorban markapkan ni mem. Ni begini panik ni. Ni bre. Dah lagi markapkan dalam. Ni gol tu.
Galai ke.
Dah lagi nak nanya panik markapkan macam.
With all his family behaving like they always do, now we know why Djigirr went hunting. But that Djigirr was still a hard worker for his 3 wives. He was always trying to be fair and nice to all of them.
Mai boleh aku kursi dengan. Aku punya barang gila.
Even sometimes to the younger one. Can you hear all them gumang that magpies? Soon they will go on way to hunt geese and collect the eggs. Daindy will go with Mingululu to learn the swamp and hear more story. And this story is now growing like a young tree that is flowering for the first time. Back in that long ago time, maybe someone done the wrong thing. Or maybe the spirits were angry for no reason. But in a way it was, the lives of the ancients were about to change. That second wife of Djigirr, she just disappeared, like she flew away with the keys. The men sat down to talk about what maybe happened to her.
Marian Jamen. Cek kalur pulai Marian Gurman.
Barbaranya dalam ya.
arke ngel nunjure me. Ang kami galalop me ni. Ang kami gune kai me. Kai pining bi me. Nghe dành cho mình mà.
Jangan kurman aja. Jangan kurman.
Mana jangan gorman.
Nakang golke lem gorpana ngayel urien rejemerel kong meyal nawalengo gorien mari jolal wanjien ka jenma banyane panelonjo manajar belak ngerele.
Time passed. Life without Nawalingo became normal, even to Djigirr. But then everything changed again, and our uncle came to visit.
Bokol pane ngari argopian, kandal mur ngari jolgome, wan gorang ngari bacan, bejai ngari bome, karnyame ma, naoleng okan ma, ka uno ko ngolon bor, yuri nyalo ka belak, yol nge uno ko me nyen, naoleng okan nyame, bay anargwao, karuandrane, pan bem.
Djigirr was right. Nawalingo was with that stranger. The uncle's eyes had seen it themselves. The men decided to get Nawalingo back.
Tinjung ke tirang gam yer pane.
Mari warne, lemkan makan
Ah, mangara kan makan apa?
Jadi jarang mari wo, pernah janji lembar cakakan ya.
Tinjal bam palar makan.
Janji lembar makan pernah Marka ngalim janji lembar cakakan Yol nge. Berok mar.
So the ancients made everything ready to send out a war party. Everybody was ready for war. The men talked about the planning.
Jalan gue lemar kapan?
Waba, jale bale,
Baik ni aja nama belum kau berjalan. Sejak pala kali ini, orang yang lebih berapa nak malok. Kama kare mang dalu kabri ni pininya. Almi kele mananak. Meyal lemurgalan mak. Baru mandilim kage. Kalau ana jana jaka ngane. Nyone.
Yang menyan mana wer mial kirar pelnya.
Parak, mare, kuluk madanak, meyal, yota, tujuan kak,
Nyenok.
berkan madanak, jangan meyal, kanyon manyar para bagaimana, ada mage, meyal kuer gini, mare, wo jamemak, kamu nunggu jamemak, iral pare, meyal kuer, anke,
Ada makan email.
Iya. Iya ngadi pun. Bagaimana ngai ngau ngadi pun. Bau dah dalu kibin nak kan.
I have to tell you something more about my people. If a man gets killed or dies, then his younger brother looks after dead man's wives. They become wives of his younger brother. That's why Gulpilil could not go. Only the young boys was left in single man's camp. Gulpilil's mind began to wander. Pretty soon, his body followed. He was thinking, with all the men gone, maybe he could come closer to Munanjar. But he didn't reckon with Panalunja.
Kacuanden. Nadali karare bere marcie. Ngone mial kur maladangang baru mala. Wanden.
Daindi thinks about Gulpilil and Munanjar. Their destinies were like butterflies in the air. They could go here, they could go there. Even the soft wind could change their direction forever. The men must sleep on the swamp while they're hunting. It's too far to go back all the time. But normal camp is not possible. There's too many crocodiles and not enough dry land. The men must be cooking and eating and sleeping in the trees, on platforms they're building. Up there in the branches, they will be safe. Djinba will soon find out what happened to War Party. Everyone came back safe. Not one angry spear was thrown.
Korop kung nabinyang ng kawin niya binyanya mol korop agarale jamur jene
Iya.
kau nomor nyo ne amban mel korop kung binyang ne ya mbula pelong nge ngono wala ni
Yo.
wala ngono pala jamin mel knale ngonye kum ngambul ni kapula jer kremban kaban metinyang Gimana kayo makacay nabag ni? Makanoy? Alar. Pero kalau balik bimo. Kalau bimo. Ibarat bimo nunca ada wam. Ada kalau nabi ka. Kumi bene wam. Nyalo mial kagorman. Nangaling ukan. Yen William ma marukun mial Ragorman nyalu yul ngoy.
There was nothing Djigirr could do. No one believed him anymore. He became quiet and angry and sad. He was possessed by a bad spirit, like his proper soul been taken away from him. The trouble Djigirr had was only just beginning. The bad spirit that lived in his head escaped. That bad spirit made biggest trouble of all.
Wah ni jenis macam ni lah, jangan berpari je kayu cul je. Jangan berpari ini bre. Pernah yang kaitkan me?
Wer. Kau cakap mereka nyambungnya.
Udah ni berbalas ni je, cara raya le.
Culpa dia nggak pencurian. Paling jarak main.
Hai. Pergi mana lah mana, pergi mana. Jangan yang luar ni, orang kaya pun le. Oi! Adik! Mana kau yang ni adik? Kapan belum ni cari? Jalan kerja.
Apa aja kan? Kayak nyarikan kamu. Tahu palingan mana bang? Angker mana ke? Jergung aja ya, milte mar ke? Alma ya ya. Kamu.
Kerja?
Yo. Iba kan?
Orang berkira mana? Orang bercara. Oi! Jangan mang je, kabar cek hari. Kabar cek mang je.
Mana Nabi ke?
Orang yang bawa zaman me.
Anak kamu pai Nabi ke?
Jalan kerja ban.
Awak kan?
Mor punya mereka yang korban le.
Hah? Itu kuat kan? Kalau kurang kerja le. Kenapa kerja kan?
Nanjel le.
Kurang kan?
Mak. Mana yang berat jadi jalan kerja ban.
Lar, kung gabri ko malagi. Kung gabri nga kayo, kapal nga rin. Sama.
Cara orang orang.
Lar.
Mal kerja. Per.
Ay, karay!
Jangan jalan le.
Kaya ki!
Arwin kerja le.
Ay!
Per.
Jangan nyoy boljo nyar penelaman guru menanjar ke Gerald friend.
Daindi is impatient to hear what will happen to the young ones. But the story is growing into a large tree now, with branches everywhere. All the parts of the story have to be told for proper understanding. Mingulu keeps going on the same branch. Those two ancestors, Djigirr and Birin, done the wrong thing when they tried to hide the body. They didn't hide that body well enough.
What?
Hame, you know, our own boom. Here, in the new Pibija. You get Tamayame. Can you know our own boom?
Kerajaan Jerman kalau dia apa? Dah kerana, Jerman kerana, wah, kerana lok ini, dia Palma, yo Jerman jen, lok ini dia Palma, pangar, armar lagi yang ya kata kemudian ya lo berin kong dia Pal, ka ngaruan margor. And Bulkian. Kuringen di Palma. Kuringen Argopal, Kanyan Kaitan and Gopal. Gujara.
You know about Mong, way.
At first, that stranger didn't believe Djigirr. But Djigirr would not change his words. The only thing to do was follow the law. Djigirr could not refuse Makarata payback ceremony, where the stranger and his men could throw spears at him until he got hit. As the two groups worked out the Makarata, Djigirr knew he was in a danger he couldn't get away from. Night is coming to the tree platforms. The men sit near their little fires. The smoke helps to keep the mosquitoes away. They talk about the hunting. There's lots of kumang eggs this year. The telling of the destiny of Djigirr must wait until night becomes empty of black. Now it is morning. The men go out to do more hunting of kumang and their eggs. Mingululu wants to know if Daindi has learned anything yet. Daindi say only thing he learned is Mingululu take long time to tell the story. Mingululu answers, a good story must have proper telling. Back then, all that time ago, it was also a time of goose egg gathering. Payback, Makarata, was to be this time, far across the other side of the swamp. Djigirr was heavy in his heart. This time, Gulpilil could go to lend his spirit to his older brother. The wives were afraid they'll never see a husband again. Birin could not go. He was too fat to cross the swamp in a canoe.
Nah, koko, everything for it. I get in your ngang, try a carbon.
It was a bad time. As the men went out to cross the swamp, they were thinking of what Djigirr had to face. Maybe that strangest mob could throw the spears good and straight. Then Djigirr would have a spear right through him pretty soon. But that was the law. Djigirr knew that law. He knew it was the way of his people. He knew the people needed the law, so they could stay living right way with the right land. And he knew he'd broken the law. Without the Makarata, there would be a bad war between the two tribes. There was no turning back.
Serius kal.
Yamu ah. Saya tuan bergoma. Liol kal. Mak. Wah. Karet Daniel kurpanak.
Mingullo tells Daindi that Djigirr needed Makarata partner, someone who would face the spears with him. The other tribe was satisfied whichever one got speared. It was dangerous thing to be Makarata partner. He could get speared instead of Djigirr. Gulpilil knew it and waited his time.
Djigirr kanyalo kamak. Makarata el. Kilo ngaro na kamak. Sini mar kamak. Baru lugang jenere. Kamari jene ka mungon jenan. Ini bukor konge. Mok. Mana kamak? Mulagang eh.
Mari jen mereka cak ko malakak kalwa.
Mundur jeng merek eh.
Ulman ya kamak mak.
Awalnya yang jene.
Gulpilil argued with the men. If he couldn't have any wives, or he couldn't have Munanjar, he might as well be spared or dead. Finally, Djigirr agreed. The goose egg hunters come together to eat.
Tunggu mana tuan eh? Orang minum meleleh nane. Baca nak lakannya wo. Jerman. Jerman lagi. Kuku. Ya wo. Jerman. Pakai kerban. Mana tidung ke? Mana tuan eh? Bapu. Kumang wo. Kumang.
Daindi is proud of his hunting. Mingulolo will go on with the story when they are eating. We can't wait that long because it was time for Makarata spears to start flying. Djigirr and Gulpilil danced like ghosts between the spears. They danced so hard they were nearly invisible. The spears seemed to be passing right through them. The warriors from the other tribe threw their spears until their arms were getting tired. That's how hard those two brothers were dancing. Djigirr was not a ghost. His legs were human, and one spear too many came flying. The goose egg hunting is nearly over for now, but there is still some of the story left for me to tell you. That one spear too many had hit Djigirr right in his guts. He was injured all right, but not so bad that he should die. The other tribe, they were satisfied. The law had been followed. Justice had been done.
Arnyung ora yul raname. Tena bachije gertada yemban.
Djigirr still believed it was the stranger who took Nawalinghu. It made him too proud to let the men carry him back. He wanted to show the stranger and his own men he was strong and angry. But he was not strong enough to pole all the way across the swamp. And the blood that was leaving his body made him too weak to walk by himself. Dalathngu knew the leaves to use to make the wound better. She knew what to get to make her husband stronger. The men are near the end of the journey. Djinba is now interested in all the story. He waits to hear what happened to Djigirr. Djigirr did not get stronger. In his weakness, he called out Nawalinghu to bring him water. But Nawalinghu didn't come. A bad spirit took over Djigirr's body. He did not have the strength to fight it off. That stranger's tribe might have used some sorcery. Maybe on the spear there was some sorcery. Or maybe on Djigirr himself. And there is only one way to fight sorcery.
Baik, boleh ban. Dia keluar bapule. Boleh jumpa jangan ada. Lebih laikan malah.
The sorcerer could do no more. He was overcome by great sadness. people know. See, they know. They come out of the bush from everywhere. They come for Djigirr. And see how Djigirr makes one very big effort. Maybe his last effort. Slowly he gets up. And look at him get up while he's still got the strength. Slowly he walks to the middle of the space in the camp. And there, near the fires, so that everyone can see, Djigirr begins to dance his own death dance. Soon the clapsticks will join in, and the Djigirr too, and then singing. Here the clapsticks start. And now it's the Djigirr too. As Djigirr dances his own death dance. He is becoming weaker. But see how he keeps dancing until all his strength will be gone. Now he's getting tired. Now his strength is finished, and he lies down on the ground. Now the warriors finish the death dance for Djigirr. Djigirr is waiting for them to start singing again. He wants them to sing his death song for him, so that all his fathers will know that he's dying and come to him. starting to sing. You think he might be dead, but he's only waiting for his singing. See? See him move his hand like his brown Pathan Tatum? See his foot move? That's to show he is listening. That is going to die, and he's telling his people. Now he is lying there. His heart is still beating, but he's already dead. Look, look, our grandfather gone into his heart to help get his soul out of there. Even his heart is still now. But he wants them to keep singing a bit longer to help him find his ancestors. Then they must prepare him for his journey. They are painting the design of his waterhole on him. That means his spirit can find its way back to its waterhole. It will wait there to be born again. Now they are chasing his soul away, because sometimes it doesn't want to leave. And there it goes on its journey.
Mana jangan mah, najap melan.
Badak. Ler ni jat nya jangon.
Djigirr is learning one important thing for his life. He's learning to be patient. But you're impatient to see the rest of the story, huh? I know that. So I'll tell you what happened. Djigirr's soul was just gone to his waterhole.
Mel, era el primer mangoro.
Ayo. Gino borene golke monyan na gorpan ka bolo jinin. Buranene.
Wan lagi mede ka wan pemrende.
Brak brak brak.
It was not the stranger who took Dalathngu, and she did not run away. It was that Cross River mob took her. They traded her to a desert tribe far away. She escaped from them and took nearly a season to walk all the way back. And now her husband was dead. The men had to show they were warriors. They made a lot of noise about going to war against Cross River mob, but inside their heads it was not like that. They were happy when Biren come to talk to them.
Kere palam ko bije. Maram ga yor palam marben me. Reje me kain. Kajele palam ko bije.
There were days and months of ceremony of the dead. All the proper things were done. At last, the spirit of the dead man was brought back where his belonging was. The men are getting close to home. Djigirr knows the story is nearly at its end. Some of the men go back to their own tribe. Maybe they meet again next ceremony. Or maybe next season of goose egg gathering. Finally, Djigirr could be with Munanjar.
Mel kana berar nyame.
Baru kenapa lah? Ngajak pian nilai kau pian rale. Ya kan ngajak pian nilai kau pian rale. Mana dong orang 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 ngomong mak ya kan. Punya kena kau ngada. Ya kamu jadi tukang ini.
Oh, apa lagi gitu wae?
Udah kena.
Yang gini. Ye be.
And finally, Djigirr had the end of the story. It was not what he expected. And they all lived happily ever after. No, I don't know what happened after that. Maybe that Dainty found a wife. Maybe he didn't. It was like that for my people. But now you've seen my story. It's a good story. Not like your story, but a good story all the same.